One, two, three, four.
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Breakfast with Brothers.
That's us. And if you didn't already know that, thanks everyone for tuning in for your first ever Breakfast with Brothers episode. Interesting that you started at episode 46, but we won't judge. It's neither here nor there. But
We ain't judging.
not at all. As we trek forward, hopefully you'll stay with us for more, because we got Big 50 coming up with big giveaway coming up. So you got to stay tuned for more. Keep your eyes and ears peeled so that way you know what's going on. And yeah, again, thank you all for coming out. I mean, it's a nice early stage in our Breakfast with Brothers journey. So hopefully you'll be there for a long time with us. And if you're tuning in, welcome, welcome. What do we got for him today, buddy?
So today we have a topic, and I'm going to read it off right now just so I don't mess it up.
Of course.
Who or what has inspired you to do what you do now, and what do you do?
Hmm.
So we could probably start with, like, what do we do as a whole, and then we can kind of get into, like, who or what has inspired us to, like, take that step. So do you want to start us up, buddy?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I guess I'm in a pickle of a spot. Like my education direction was one thing, current occupation is another, and my business is a whole nother. So I guess I'll pick one for now, and maybe if we got time, we can come back to it. Um,
I mean, just if anything, just list off like what you do. Like it could be all three. I mean, that's kind of like the whole spiel.
no doubt.
Give them the whole
Well,
spiel.
I mean, don't want to give too much. I mean, because we could break it up. Because you are in a separate case too. Of course, right now you're doing something. But so anyway, we'll paste this into. Anyway, education put me in an engineering direction, specifically mechanical engineering, um, and that was something that I kind of got interested in high school. I would have to say, probably my first time that I ever actually thought about it. Um,
Hmm.
and I'd say the first person that got me into it, um, I guess from like a peer standpoint, I talked about it a lot with a good buddy named Josh Costa. And as far as like remarkable or notable celebrity figures and stuff like that, um, I don't know if I knew about Elon Musk when it had first happened. Um, yeah, maybe not. I would have said so if I knew he was a person back when I was thinking about it when I was graduating high school. But at the time, Josh was super interested in um, trains and aviation, I guess, and part transport. I wasn't sure of it at the time if he wanted to be a pilot then, but that's one thing that he does now. He knows how to fly a plane. But originally, he was looking to go into engineering. So I started looking into it myself, and
Hmm.
that's when I found out about mechanical engineering and what that entailed as far as the manufacturing end of things, and a lot of design work, digital design work. Um, and that wasn't necessarily in an art form or anything. For example, like Lockheed Martin is a big company and they manufacture defense equipment and transportation equipment, and aviation stuff like commercial airplanes and stuff like that. Um, so I guess for me, putting it on a bigger scale, um, I was interested in that stuff because it was something that I had never done before. I didn't know enough about to be able to confidently talk about it with people, or also um, look at it and say, "Oh yeah, this makes complete sense to me," because at the time it was all a mystery, and maybe that's what made it intriguing. So I guess for me, yeah, Josh put a bug in my mind, and maybe that's not necessarily an inspiration, but he's definitely where it drew from originally. So.
Cool. So did you want to keep going, or did you want me to kind of like break up the multiple layers that you got?
Yeah, we could break it up because then you could like talk a little bit about it, and then I guess we could both like because like where we're at right now, and like, and here's present day, because
Truth.
I feel like that would make sense, and as far as answering the question goes, because
Yeah,
it is an open-ended question.
sure. Yeah, so I guess I'll just stick with kind of a similar topic. Um, you know, education route, what I went to school for and such, and what was interesting to me at the time. So I initially went to school for music, and truthfully, I have a lot to thank um, Dan for, Dan McConnell. He kind of shone a
Shout out
light.
Dan.
He's shown a light on to a lot of things within music that I never really thought about or even looked into. He definitely helped me out a lot, especially when it came to getting an audition at my school in Fredonia, Fredonia State, and kind of set up a lot of it. I remember he initially called the studio head, Dr. K. Stonefell. Um, Phenomenal, phenomenal studio head. I mean, just could do anything. That's besides the point, though. So I initially started in with music, thanks to Dan, and I ended up switching sophomore year due to other things that I don't need to go into, but it wasn't that I lost the love, it was just other things were meshing in with it that didn't make sense for me to continue. Um, so I ended up just taking a minor in music and actually switched over towards philosophy. And that kind of sprang about years before I initially applied to college for music. I was applying. I'm kind of interested in a bunch of different topics, and I felt as though I could focus in on one, and philosophy was one of them. And I have to thank Dad for that, our father, for kind of showing me or introducing me to a lot of different philosophy. So I took that route in hopes to find, I don't know, I wouldn't say more interest, uh, more or less just to find something that I really enjoyed doing or, wanted to do with my life at that point.
Right.
Things change, of course, but um, I went to school for that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed every second of it. Um, some more than others, but it was definitely a route that I did enjoy, and I'm thankful for getting my degree in philosophy. And I also have, like I said, I have a minor in music, and then I also have a minor in creative writing. Writing was another big thing that I enjoyed to do. I just didn't realize it until about halfway through. Like I threw that in with my philosophy just to fill in courses because I enjoyed doing it, and then I found a love for it even more with actually going through courses with it. And I have another person to thank for that. That was definitely one of the professors for an intro to creative writing course that I took before I even transferred into the different major, and that was
Sure.
Michael Sheehan. Straight legend, awesome dude. Probably one of the best professors I've ever had in my entire life. Very down to earth and willing to help, no matter what. So I have a lot to thank for him for showing me, my love for writing again. So that was my original route. I wanted to go do something with philosophy, whether it was, end up going for my PhD in writing, writing my own found research, or in some way, shape, or form, getting into a position that requires someone with logic based philosophy or ethics based philosophy. Though I wasn't that great at ethics. I was good at logic, but not ethics. Um, but yeah, so that was my initial route. That's what I wanted to do, and what I still continue to do today. I still play music, and I still read and research myself. Through philosophy, and I still do write. So I mean, all these things are still technically within my life, but it's not what I do for, job wise.
Sure. And I mean, in that regard, it was still able to keep you well-rounded. Like you were able to maintain your interests, and you got an education in regard to being able to further those interests. So, and that's a big reason, or I shouldn't say a big reason. That is a way that I look back at my educational career. Um, because right now I don't have an engineering gig by any means. But also that education led me to find those other passions and other interests while I was at college, and maybe not for the best, because I know when I was at school, I know my first initial interests were in part with the money and the job I could have in the future, and then in part with interest. And those, mixing together can be dangerous, not in the worst way, but just as far as making your pursuit something that means something to you instead of for money or fame or status and stuff like that. And I think that maybe will coincide with like, the seven deadly sins type thing where, if you're going to do something, you should do it for good reasons. And if you're not, you could fall victim to, certain things that'll lead you down, we'll just say questionable paths. But aside from
Absolutely.
that, the whole idea of being able to go to college and then also explore those other options, just it made sense for me. It was I went to school, and don't get me wrong, I liked engineering. I love math. I love science. Physics, obviously explains a lot of what we have to endure every day as far as our physical surroundings, our environmental surroundings, everything we do from when we get up to when we leave for work to when we get home and have to cook dinner. There's some type of physics involved in every little thing. And math makes the world
Yeah,
go round. So it's still something that I'm obviously doing all the time. I'm crunching numbers. Aside from my other thing that I'm doing with my business now, it feels like you're always doing math with something. You're always trying to figure out the percentage of something. You go out and eat dinner at a restaurant. I don't need to sit here and list examples, but uh, I don't know. I've always just been a huge math nerd, and science has been something that just works for me. I'm a big routine guy, and I'm a big organized person. And a lot of science is messy. It can be, but there's also a lot of science and physics that is very focused and specific and organized and routine. So maybe that's what drew me to it. Who knows? But still to this day, being well-rounded from college definitely, put the likes of Ian and I in different places where we could make decisions and decide what was better for us, or, other paths. And it helped me realize, that a part of what I was going to school for that, that big job was because I wanted to make a lot of money and, get something out of it that was, financial freedom and stuff like that. I've since found other avenues and stuff like that, but it felt like at the initial time I was chasing things for the wrong reason, and among finding other passions and things like that, and throw in some parties and hangovers on the weekends and stuff like that. Stuff just happens, and life comes at you sideways. And I've been rolling with the punches since, and I don't regret any of it. But I also look at my degrees on the wall, and I'm just like, yeah, I did that. Even if it is a celebration of like succeeding something, it doesn't mean that I have to have a job settled into what I followed in my educational career, but at least, having those things in my background can help me in so many different directions. And I'm sure Ian feels the same way about that too, as far as being able to find those passions, still have the education, and still practice those things all the time, even if that's not necessarily what your 9 to 5 is, so to say.
yeah, I would definitely agree with that because I mean, well, I guess we can kind of move that into what we actually do, but um,
Yeah, what we're
I
doing right
definitely
now. Yeah.
I definitely agree though. It's like, sure, might not be using my actual like major or my, my degree, so to say, with what I'm doing, but realistically I am. I mean, everything that I've learned with philosophy, I mean, just the overall critical thinking that I need for everyday life is now amplified because of, what I was taught, what I learned, how I was educated. Um, it
Absolutely.
only pushes me further. And truthfully, anyone with a philosophy degree can truly gain any job within reason, of course. Obviously, not within like a specified region, but um, most definitely could achieve any job relatively easy. Um, in the sense of like, okay, we know this guy, he's a critical thinker. He can definitely, think on his feet at the very least and actually use logic in certain cases and points. It shows that. Not that not that people who don't have a philosophy degree can't do that, but at least now it's like, okay, at least we have someone that went to school for it. And
Well, like you
the
said,
same.
that critical thinking goes, a long way because you could be in
Yeah.
a job all the way from A to Z as far as like, for example, you could work in logistics, you could be like a solutions provider, you could go in and, do some um whatchamacallit, like estimates for people about certain things. It's like you're well-rounded enough to the point where your critical thinking could yield so many applications to the point where people are just looking for someone to come in and uh 85% of jobs you're getting trained anyway. So it's just a
Right.
matter of if you can figure out, what you need to do as far as the work goes, and then be in an environment where that critical thinking yields cooperation, collaboration, and then efficiency, you could be doing a lot. And that's the cool part.
Yeah, that's honestly the best part. It's kind of like I wouldn't say like a safety, but it's definitely like something good that I can rely on because, well, I completed it. I did it. I have it.
Yeah,
It's
I
in
was gonna
it's
say
in it's
it's
in my
not a
back
safety,
pocket.
because you don't need it as a rescue item. You use it as a day-to-day, how do you say, not
I would just say
routine,
like a tool.
but something that's already been imbued within you, something that exists that doesn't need to be questioned. Like it kind of just it is you. It's what you become. It's kind of
Right.
something that you could take with you and carry as if it were like a badge you earned as a Boy Scout. Something that is all good. Like, you've made it this far, and at this point, it has become like this skill that you possess. So for you, that education exists within whatever it is you're doing, and I think that's, yes, you can have a job that, okay, I am, a philosopher, I am a professor, or in this case, I am the big question guy, the big picture person, something like that, where philosophers are actually, titled, labeled, whatever. But also,
Right.
in the sense that you're using it, it's something that you've come to exist within, and also make actions, decisions, and reactions based around.
Right. Now we're gonna hit him with a crazy curveball right now after we told him our education. For those that don't know,
The crazy.
so now we'll get into what we actually do, and then I think we can kind of say like, definitely who either inspired us or got us in that mindset to go towards what we're doing today, because I think that's definitely important as well. Um,
Yeah,
so would you like to
absolutely.
start us
And
up
I
on
mean,
that?
I think, yeah, I think I'd take it into my landscaping career, as far as that. I could kind of touch on my business stuff in the end there. Um, but as far as, my 9 to 5 right now and uh, interests and an actual job go, I'm working at in a golf course as a greenskeeper. And that had a big stem from what I was doing as a summer gig back when I was still going through high school. Um, and kind of following in the footsteps of what my our older brother and our old man did back when they were still working. They are still working, but back when they were working and we were coming up into the realm of needing to be responsible, getting summer gigs to throw some money away in the savings. They were the people that it was just like we'd go on hikes with them, or we'd be able to just go and like random road trips and stuff like that, and checking out the fauna or the local wildlife, learning about plants and grass and different types of trees, and why this one grows that color, and fungi and the like. So I feel like it was a lot of what they had, and Ian will say the same, but hopefully in different experience and a different light, uh, that they were both there as far as like a stepping stone into the idea of, for us, just landscaping, but as a generality of plant science and what that looks like as far as being able to take care of plants and nurture trees, grass, turf, the like. And just so in our case, it was basic landscaping at a local concert venue. And for me, turned greenskeeping, taking care of a golf course, which is very similar. You're taking care of grass, you're maintaining property, You're basically putting on the Super Bowl every day for people because everyone is coming in to play the course daily. And it's one of those things where I still get to be outside, still learning about how to take care of certain plants and certain wildlife areas and stuff like that, just in a different light. So for me, it definitely stemmed from couple of our family members, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And that's only because I love working outside, and it's just I've been a busy guy with my hands for a long time coming. And don't get me wrong, an office job can yield a lot of potential, and you can climb the social ladder and also the business ladder, so to say, if you're looking for something like that. But I would rather throw my experience outdoors and just get hit by the sun on the constant. So it's a lot of fun, and I hate to like shit on myself for not having gone down the path of what my degree gave me, but it's just one of those things where for now I'm pursuing some interests, and I'm doing enough as far as financial sake goes, that it's not like a huge burden on my back that I have to think about in my mind. And I'm also getting to play golf, which is a big hobby of mine, but that's saved for other podcasts for those of you who know about our golf talks. But yeah, so I mean, I'm sure Ian will have a little bit of the same here for you, but that's where I'm at. So hopefully you could see the spectrum change from engineer to greenskeeper. So
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you're doing what you enjoy to do, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, whether or not your degree was directed like that. And anyways, and you've touched upon it throughout this episode so far. But truth is, as long as you enjoy what you're doing, it enables you to continue a hobby easier. Most definitely for you because you love playing golf. Um, But just in that scenario itself, it's just like you like to be outside, just in the simplest terms. Like, and that's a great way to do it. And it's, I wouldn't say it's necessarily easy because I know there's definitely a lot of difficulties to one, keeping a golf course clean, and two, just, mowing that type of, that length of grass too for that matter. So there's definitely, as you climb the ladder through that, there's intricacies that get more and more intricate.
especially at the upper tier courses, which hopefully one day I'll
Yeah,
get an experience like that, but it gets intense, that's for sure.
right. Yeah, I mean they're literally cutting greens with a laser, dude. But um, yeah, I would definitely say I've had a obviously similar upbringing with Zach. Um, Obviously introduced to a lot of nature and the like, being outside, being pushed outside when we didn't want to go outside, and I couldn't be more thankful for mom and dad getting us outside when we were inside for way too long. I know it was just because we were being too loud or being a little too argumentative with each other, but in reality, I know it was like, yeah, get outside, do something, run around,
No doubt.
roll in the mud.
No doubt.
So that's kind of just like the basic standard point where it's like, yeah, like I'm very happy they pushed us outside. Um, a lot of people can say that they hate being outside. So on top of that, though, similar experience, Brad and Dad for that matter. Well, not for that matter, Brad and Dad. Both of which Brad went to school for plant science. I believe it was plant science. Um, and I remember clearly like the little like box he had, like not a diorama, but like kind of like a display case of like the different like types of bugs that there were that he had. I don't know
Oh
if you
yeah.
remember that.
Yeah, that was
Um,
he was taking like entomology or something like that.
yep. Um, which I thought was so cool. Like obviously I'm not a fan of bugs crawling all over me, but I think bugs are pretty cool.
Yeah.
Um, but like that kind of like sparked an interest in just, more in depth with nature itself. And then obviously dad, working on trees all day. Whether it was that or, just working outside in general. Um, he's a jack of all trades. He kind of knows how to do everything. It's kind of incredible. Not kind of, it is incredible. But I would definitely say overall, because I had found some interest in what I do now, and I guess that's the point where I should say what I do now. Now I work for a company called Bartlett and or Bartlett Tree Experts. So if you can see where this is going, obviously. But I started out as a arborist ground person. I'm currently in the position of arborist climber trainee, and so I'll be learning hopefully soon. Actually how to climb trees, get up, take care of them. As of right now, though, I am currently essentially I'm taking care of both trees and plants through
Sure.
uses of like pesticides, and of course, like within that, I can't go into detail about exactly what we use, but a lot of it is just fungicides, insecticides, no herbicides, but um, within that, we're learning how to take care of both plants and trees alike with whatever fungal infections they get, diseases, so on and so forth. It could be anything. Um, Same with insecticides. We're dealing with insects that are eating away plants or shrubs or whatever it might be. And like a key one that Dad, I'm sure you've heard of as well, Zach. That I always heard like that he would talk about with me is the emerald ash borer. Um,
Mm.
Being such a detrimental insect to the ash tree in general. Thankfully, we don't have emerald ash borer out here in Nantucket, but where I'm getting to is I would say Dad has definitely inspired me, has kind of not directed me, but I've taken a lot of inspiration from him because of what
Yeah.
he does. I think it really sparked when I was able to actually work with him. I think it's now coming up on a year and a half ago or so. Maybe I guess we're probably approaching 2 years. I got the chance to work with him fully and actually do tree work and work as a ground man for him while he's either in the bucket truck or standing from the ground and trimming back whatever it was. And while we did it in the winter, that sucked. Um, it was definitely something that kind of opened my eyes to that avenue of things because, like Zach, I did a lot of landscaping. We worked at the same company for a while, actually. I enjoyed, mowing lawns, taking care of whatever else, mulch, edging, weed whacking, the like, whatever it was. Basically, just a full on groundskeeper, anything. Um, and I like working outside to begin with. I always have. I'm someone that can't like sit still. I kind of have to like keep moving, even though sometimes I don't want to. Um, like I know my brain works best when it's like kept on its toes, kept moving. So I figured I'd go down that exact route. And obviously, you can tell it's completely far away from what I went to school for. Went to school for philosophy, and now I'm working
The
towards being an
spectrum.
arborist. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Um, but I think it's also cool that I can experience a plethora of things that I'm, very much interested in. So, obviously philosophy is something I continue to study, like I said before, until I'm dead, I can continue to study that. Um,
Right.
I love arboriculture. I'm so interested in it. I want to learn more every single day. Same with plant healthcare within the pesticide spectrum. That it's something that's definitely interesting to me, and I'm finding out more and more as I continue to work every single day.
Right.
So yeah, I pretty much have the majority of my thanks to Dad for that. Um, and it might sound cliche to some, but it's definitely not to me. I think following in his footsteps and continuing um, his legend is probably the coolest thing that someone can do, in my eyes at least. So
Yeah, he has a lot of knowledge up in that brain, as far as it comes to being able to take care of trees and maintain, I mean, unreal amount of knowledge. And I think, sometimes that pushes me to also think about what that looks like for my future and being able to not only pick a route, but also to become, uh, how did someone describe it? I think they said it was a T entrepreneur or something like that. So in this case, the T, the middle tier of the T is your depth of knowledge in one specific thing that you really like to do, you're really good at, or something you just want to pursue and have been trying to. And that's something that you just go deep on. And then the rest of the T, there's like a little branch, like how a normal T, there would be those little overarching pieces of the top of the T. And
Yeah.
those would be things that, again, you're interested in, or they're hobbies, or there's something that you have time for, among the other thing that you're going very deep in knowledge in. And those are the things you start breaking through the surface and becoming decently versed in. You don't know everything, but you know enough to be able to talk about it, to perform it, or to be, good enough to succeed in whatever that might look like. And they call it
Right.
being a T entrepreneur, because you're not just a master of one thing, you are a master of one thing with a surrounding tier of other things that they don't necessarily have to coincide, but other things that you can actually, put yourself on the map for, as far as being able to say that you know how to do this, etc.
Right.
And that's how you become more of a well-rounded person. You definitely take one task and you become like really good at it. You put a lot of time into it, but you make sure that the other ones also get some of their fair share. So that way, you don't just become tunnel vision, narrow-minded. You're able to not only, meet other people from different trades and network, but you also don't close yourself off to other opportunities and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's actually kind of a neat way to think about it. Never heard of it before, to be quite
Yeah, I'll have to
honest.
pull up I don't know if it was a video or a link, but I'm pretty sure the term is like T entrepreneur. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm saying it wrong, but the idea exists with that letter, that, everything I was saying.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Cool way to think about it, because I mean, like, obviously, I think about like the things that round me as a person and who I am. Um, but to think of it as the T, trying to make the T, kind of makes more sense, because obviously there's going to be one interest of yours that will either be your profession or just something that you're very good at. Doesn't have to be your profession. Um, that you just excel at in comparison to the rest of the things that you're also interested in.
Sure.
Um, it's there's always going to be, some people have two, three, four, sometimes five. Some people are just really good at certain tasks or certain avenues that they, are very much interested in. Um, but a majority of the time, I find myself, I wouldn't say I'm like amazing at things, but there's a lot of things that I'm interested in, a couple avenues that I wouldn't say I'm a master at, but I would definitely have a good like background with. Um, I wouldn't necessarily say there's one thing that I'm extremely good at. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I also still have a lot of life to live, and maybe I'll find that one thing that I'm just awesome at.
A lot of life, man. And that's the journey. But hopefully that answers the question for everyone out there listening. I know we're coming down to our limits here, but it like Ian was saying, we're definitely on different scales as far as where we started, where we've come. Um, but for those of you listening out there that are on a similar path, or wondering where you went wrong, there's not really ever a wrong, unless you're getting into like hard drugs or serious gambling or something like that. Maybe you should talk to someone, but that's not up to us. um, it's all about what you want to do, and putting yourself out into the world. Hopefully in a positive way, because if you do that, you'll always get positive vibes back. So
Yeah. Don't ever feel like you can't go out and do what you want to do, or what you're interested in, or study what you're interested in. Just
no
because there
doubt.
isn't a job, lined up for you after college doesn't mean anything. I have a lot of friends that went through music school who have been working towards like making it their career, and they're killing it. So if there's a will, there's a way. But with anything, philosophy is another example. There wasn't much jobs lined up. Point is, don't let the job market deter you from, you know, educating yourself, or going for an education or doing anything. You don't even need an education for some things. Don't let it deter you from the fact, it's like, oh, I won't make money. Do it. Do what interests you, because in the end, someone's going to appreciate it. And sometimes it might be you for a bit. Other people will notice, though. So when there's a will, there's a way. But
Consistency
on that
wins
note,
games, baby. Send us out.
absolutely. But yeah, so thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed the episode. A little long-winded in some spots, but we hope you took the time to listen and hear our little stories. So if you're listening on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. If you're listening on YouTube, check us out on Spotify. As always, leave a like, comment, subscribe, follow us, whatever it might be. And on that note, we'll catch you guys on the flippy flop. Peace out.